Classics 107.9. I want to say good afternoon to District Attorney Larry Krasner. How are you today, sir?
Never better because I'm with you.
Flattery will get you everywhere. Let's discuss the public safety in general, including how, the Gun Violence Task Force, in collaboration with the Philadelphia Police Department and the Attorney General's office, has led to major takedowns of shooting groups, like the announcement that you made 2 weeks ago, charging 12 suspects in dozens of shootings and charging individuals that were responsible for ghost guns and things of that nature. Let's get into it.
Well, we said all the way back in 2017 what the numbers say, which is that there's about 6% of people charged with crimes who commit about 60% of the crime. So we have to focus on people who are actively involved in criminal activity. These shooting groups are actively involved in criminal activity. And thanks to the deep dive investigations and the resources that go into the Gun Violence Task Force, thanks to our partners, federal and state, we have been able to shut down for good a certain number of these shooting groups in Philly. That's really not something that was done effectively before. Thank goodness it's happening now. So when we talked about 0 to the 4 going to go to the jail, which I did to try to reach young people who might be tempted to join that group. They're not getting their news from, a newspaper. They're getting it from social media. So we tried to meet them where they are. We were saying something true. 0 to the 4 is effectively shut down. And anybody considering that life better consider spending a lot of time in jail, which hopefully stops some people from becoming involved. Same with young bag chasers, another very violent shooting group that has been effectively shut down. We have to keep doing that, because when we keep doing that, we won't find ourselves 10 or 20 years from now talking about Brickyard, which is a shooting group that's been around forever. We won't find ourselves talking about Pit Boys. These are groups that have been around forever. They're shooting at each other, and they don't even necessarily remember who shot who first. It just keeps going. So, I am passionate about that work, as you are passionate about gun violence. We need to use modern enforcement, and we need to invest heavily in modern prevention, because we've seen that when these things work together, we can all make progress together.
So I keep a close, eye on the news and what's happening, and it was encouraging to hear that some of this gun violence has decreased in our city, something I haven't seen in a long time. What concerns me the most personally is, do we know where these guns are coming from? And do we know how they're getting in the hands of teenagers? What happened on Grays Avenue last night for a teenager to be shot down execution style in the middle of a playground baffles me. I guess what I'm thinking is what the rest of the citizens are thinking. What would warrant such an execution style murder of a teenager? What could he have done that, warranted that kind of violence?
Well, let me just say that is horrifying. It's tragic. But it's also a very active investigation. And, our investigations involve us, but they primarily involve our partners. So while I can't comment specifically on that particular case right now, we expect to have more information later, which we will be able to share. And I can certainly tell you that, it's one of the great challenges of our time. We have more guns on the street than we have human beings in the United States.
Right.
I thought it was supposed to be a country of people, not a country of guns. But that is what some of the crazy court interpretations of the Second Amendment and some of the crazy marketing of guns through entertainment, through other means, coming from one of the most dangerous organizations of all time, which is the National Rifle Association. And yes, I mean what I said. I think they're one of the most dangerous organizations of all time. That is sadly what has been accomplished. We have a new challenge. It's a very, very serious challenge, and that is ghost guns, which have gotten worse.
I was
and worse
about to tap on that. Yeah. So, any progress in that area?
Well, we are seeing more ghost guns taken off the streets, off of individuals, taken from crime scenes. That's not good news. That's bad news. Because, we're at a point where people who know what they're doing can print most of the parts of a gun with a 3D printer. They can buy parts at gun shows, one bag with metal
Online.
parts. They can buy it online
Sure
sometimes. They
can.
buy them a lot of gun shows. You know, the same kind of record checks are not required. And there's all kinds of, black market bootleg ways
Sure.
to buy these incredibly dangerous items that they're basically invented as a loophole to the gun laws that exist, a way to try to get around it
I think that's
and
the
make
thing
it
that troubles me the most.
right. I agree with you. It's a terrible problem. We need our legislatures to help out, both federal and state. And we don't have friends, unfortunately, in the state and federal legislature when it comes to reasonable common sense control over guns. We have zealots who want every, little baby to have a gun tucked in their diaper. They want guns made in pink so that more and more women will carry guns. Their idea of the best way to
So
deal with
sad.
gun violence is to have more guns, and they're just wrong. That is not the best way to deal with gun violence, as we can see when there are better results in New York. There are better results in New Jersey where they limit gun access. In fact, they're mad at us because a lot of the guns in New York and a lot of guns in New Jersey come from Pennsylvania due to our legislature having lax gun laws. So it's a real challenge, but, we have to fight it at every level. We have to fight the supply of guns. We have to fight access to guns for people who have criminal records or are too young to be having guns. Kids shouldn't have guns, period. They
They
just
shouldn't. With that said, Mr. Krasner, I know we constantly do these gun buybacks. We constantly encourage. I know I encourage my listeners to take a great assessment in their house and find out if the children, I hate saying this, in their households are in possession of a gun. Is there any advice you can give my listeners in reference to that? In reference to talking to the young people in their households, just trying to take a temperature of their mindset, if you will. Is there any advice you can give us?
Sure. If you are a parent, if you are a family, you have the ability to look around the house in ways that the police don't necessarily have. You don't need
Right.
to have probable cause to check on your own house. You're not the government. You can check on your own house. So I would encourage you to be as involved in your kids' lives as you can. I would encourage you to not just to ask questions, but to look around and to try to enter in their lives in a way that comes before the court systems get involved. Your
Right.
kids need to be as far away from guns as possible. That's the bottom line. And we are here to make sure that if you're doing the right thing as a parent and you're trying to get them out of a particular life or make sure they're not tempted into it or they're not running around with guns just out of fear, we are here to try to help you do the best you can. As parents, we are not here to crush your kids. We are here to try to get your kids away from danger, hopefully before they do something terrible, like point a gun at another human and pull the trigger. We're here to help you with that. But I would say be as involved as you can. No, your kids are not your friends. Your kids are there
Yeah,
for
you're
you
not
to
buddies,
guide.
you're not homies.
Yeah, they're not your buddies,
Exactly.
they're not your homies. We are here to see you guide them and supervise them, not cover for them. So please help us help you to be the best parents you can.
So that
and
your
we are
children
here
can
to-
have the best future that they can, basically.
Exactly. We're here to try to help you guide them away from a life of crime, away from a life of danger, and towards a life of success and safety.
I love it. Mr. Krasner, thanks for taking this time out to speak with me this afternoon because I far too often hear stories about parents who had no idea that their child was living this type of life or going through the pressures that they're going through. Something that really stopped me in my tracks is I talked to a group of young children, and a young lady, 15 years old, told me that her classmate, who was also 15 and an honor roll student, felt it was necessary to have a gun out of fear. And I just couldn't believe the words that were coming out of her mouth. Here's a honor roll student who's carrying a gun simply because if someone shoots at him, he wants to be able to shoot back and survive. That is heart-wrenching, to say the least. But that also is something that a parent can get involved in. Our children being bullied. Why are they being bullied? It's something that our educators should get involved with. It's something that parents should pay a close attention to. And I think collectively we can make a difference. I commend your office for doing what you're doing and the commissioner and the mayor, and hopefully and prayerfully we can make a difference and decrease these numbers.
Well, I thank you for publicizing this issue, for talking about this issue, for hearing all perspectives. I think it's incredibly important that this conversation goes on. If we could have a massive meltdown of guns and then take the metal money and put it into the schools, this would be a different country. And
we would have air conditioning and everything else that we need, sir. Yes, we would.
We sure would. And the reality is, if you buy a gun, you're increasing the danger of your being harmed by 500%. It doesn't make you safer. It puts
doesn't.
Your whole family in more danger. So, let's get real about this. Let's do the things.
And let's spread that message, sir.
Say.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, we certainly should.
Again, thanks for calling into the show. I appreciate your work. I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for taking time to speak with us today, sir.
Always delighted. I'll be back whenever you want. Thank you.
Yeah, let's make this, every day or maybe a couple months. Every couple months you should check in with us.
Deal.
You have one more question? Oh, for the upcoming Id and things like of that nature. Yeah, that is a good question. And I agree. That was my producer saying that she feels like we should do this continuously, and that we should keep the audience abreast on progress, if you will. So we have an open door policy here for you, sir, for you to call back. I would love for you to call back maybe towards the end of the month, and let's have another conversation if you could.
That'd be great. I'd love to be a monthly caller. That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Well, the door is always open. Like I said, Godspeed to you, sir. Have a wonderful rest of your day, okay?
Thank you, and the same to you.
All righty.